What's going on, Genius Nation? Welcome to a brand new day. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that your day is starting out magnificent. Still early for us here on the West Coast, but wherever you are in the world, hope your day has started out magnificent. This is the Daily Genius, and I am Dr. Will. As always, super excited that you are here joining us on this journey. For those of you that are watching this outside of our private Facebook group, when I talk about Genius Nation, I'm talking about over 1,000 individuals that are dedicated and committed to becoming the best versions of themselves and creating their best life. If this sounds like you want to receive tips, tools, and strategies to assist you in becoming a better version of yourself, there's a description down. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and become a part of Genius Nation. It's a free group where, once again, all we want to do is provide you with tips, tools, and strategies to assist you. And that's what this journey is all about. I'm on a journey of providing you with 365 videos, and this is episode number 115. And I just want to share with you wisdoms, tips, tools, and strategies that will assist you along the journey. So once again, if that sounds like you, there's a link in the description. Go ahead and join us for inside our private Facebook group. So if you have been following us and journeying with us, thank you guys that are coming in live. Thank you for those of you that are going to watch this on the replay. If you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and drop us a note. Go ahead and drop where you're chiming in from. I just always love to know where we're connecting from around the world. So if you've been on this journey with us for any amount of time, you know that Sunday is the day that we set aside for planning our week. That's the day we set aside. And I've told you this before. What this does is help you slow your week down. So when you look at your calendar, you know what day is game day, what we call the day that you have to be 100, that you have to be your absolute best. That may mean, if you're like me, you're a speaker, so you're presenting somewhere. It could be your career professional and you're doing a presentation this week or meeting with a high-end client or just something that maybe you need to close out if you're in the real estate industry. But this is game day, right? You want to identify which day is your game day so you can prepare your week around that day where you need to be 100. But today I want to extend the conversation beyond just planning for our week and talk to you about some subjects that you want to plan for your life, that you want to plan for your life. And a lot of times when we talk about planning for our life, it can seem to be complicated conversations sometimes, but it's so needful. And the more time you give yourself in having these conversations, and the more time you give yourself in talking about these conversations, the more time you have to prepare for whatever, prepare for life events. So one of the conversations that my family and I have, not on a consistent basis, but we've had the conversation. And so this conversation, once you have it, you don't really need to have it again, but you do need to initially have it. And that's the conversation around if something would happen, God forbid, and this doesn't even have to be a premature. If this happens, if prematurely, it's just any time throughout your life. So that's in the case of your death. In the case of your death, what plans do you want to be put in place? What plans do you want to be put in place? And one of the initial conversations that we've had as a family is, what do we want our funeral to be like? What do we want our funeral to be like? Are you an organ donor? Right? Are you an organ donor? If you are an organ donor, does your family know that you're an organ donor? Right? Just imagine, something happens to you and the doctors are coming to you talking and saying, talking to your family saying, well, thank you so much. Will was an organ donor, so his liver, and you're like, wait a minute, what? Will was a what? Wait, hold on. Right? And so that's my responsibility to have that conversation with my family. And so having that conversation about surrounding about when you die, what do you want to happen when you die? What type of funeral? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to have a regular burial? Do you want to be put in the ground? Do you want to be put in a mausoleum? And if you want these things, what plan have you put in place? Like, if these are your wishes, then what plan have you put in place? And so, once again, the sooner you start talking about this subject, the better you can plan. The better you can plan. And so, hopefully, if you start having this conversation today, hopefully you have another 50 years before you die, right? But you get to start putting in place, like, man, do I have the right insurance? When I look at the bills that I have right now, right? How do I want to, how do I want to take care of my family if something happens to me? Do we have a mortgage right now? Do we have car notes right now? If I'm the number one breadwinner, if my spouse is the number one breadwinner, what does that look like? How would my life change? How would my kids' life change? You want to start having these conversations. One of the saddest things is, because we have social media now, we are able to get a window into people's lives. And how many times have you seen families that run up on this situation where the person dies, and we say unexpectedly, but we should really throw that word away, right? Because every death is unexpected, right? Nobody's looking to die. So you should treat it like you could die at any time. And this is not to be morbid. This is to put you in a more powerful position. This is to put your family in a more powerful position so we can have these talks. And I'll be honest with you, these are talks that not only I have with my family, but these are talks that I have with our closest friends. When our children was a little bit younger, we had these conversations with our family and friends. If something would happen to Christy and I, this is what is going to happen to our kids. They're going to go to these individuals. That alleviates any arguing, that alleviates any, misunderstandings. Like, if something would have happened to us, then my mom, her mom showing up, her brother and sister showing up, my sister showing up and saying, hey, we're taking the kids. If you plan this and have all of this in writing, right, then it alleviates all of that. It takes out all confusion. Just imagine, you're not here anymore and your family is not able to mourn your death. They're not able to celebrate your death. They're not able to think about this in a positive way per se, simply because everything is disorganized. Everything is disorganized. So this is just one of those tough conversations that you need to get comfortable with having, right? So when we're talking about planning out our life, this is one of those conversations that you want to have when you're planning out your life. And so I want you to think about that today. If something happened to me, if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, what happens? I really learned this and really thought about this back when 9/11 happened. I had just recently got out the military, and I was working for the government. And during this time, we have this thing called readiness, right? Readiness, family readiness packets. And doing these family readiness package, you would have to have all of this stuff in place. What would happen, if you were going to get deployed, who was going to watch your children and things like that. And it's just a great practice that I carried over into what we call civilian life, is to have a readiness packet. And so, like, even here, I have this binder, and this is our readiness type of packet, right? And so in it, and I suggest you guys do, it has all of our birth certificates, kids' birth certificates, marriage certificates, social security numbers and cards, passports. It has all that information, wills in here, banking information. So if something would happen, Christy and I were both in the military, so we have our DD 214 because there's some benefits that are available to us as veterans. So we want to make sure that we can take advantage of those. But this is an important document, so we can get those. So we can get those. So we could have. So we can have those benefits for us, right? You got to have those. So what insurance do you have? Things like that. So creating a readiness packet for your family really puts you at an advantage. It lets you see if you have any gaps. It lets you see what you need to prepare for, what you need to start focusing on. So when you get that next, big check or whatever, man, is my insurance good? Do I have the proper insurance? Do I have the insurance that I want? When we talk about generational wealth and leaving wealth behind, having proper insurance is one of the best ways to do that. It's one of the easiest ways to transfer wealth, right? And it's one of the strategies that wealthy people use. And so if you think about, and once again, this is not to be morbid, this is just to put you into position. So if you think about just yourself and you start thinking about your parents, right? Do you have proper insurance on your parents? And so we all know everybody's going to die. And so at this point, do I have my parents insured as much as they could? Because they are going to die. Everybody's going to die, but that's a great wealth. That's a great opportunity to transfer wealth. And so if you had an insurance policy, 250,000, 300,000, and that individual died, whether it's an older aunt, whether it's grandparents, whether it's parents, you could just see, and this is, once again, this is a strategy. This is not to be morbid, but if you have 4 seniors in your life that within the next 10 years is a probability that they may die, and you take out a life insurance on of 250,000 on each of them, that would be $1 million. That would be $1 million that would be transferred to your family to start generating wealth. What else are you going to do within the next 10 years that would generate that type of wealth? So you just want to start thinking about these types of things. We got to start thinking, the family as a business. So what business moves are we making as a family that's going to shore up our bottom line? So that's what I want you to think about this week. As you're planning for your week, start planning for your life as well. So hope this helped you out. Hope this gave you something to think about. Go out there and have an amazing day. Your brilliant, genius self. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for the Daily Genius.